Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Tarot-Scopes. We're going to be doing the Tarot-Scopes for the sign of Scorpio. That's Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. Before we get to the tarot and the oracle, we're going to talk a little bit about the astrology. It's a very active astrological month with lots of sign changes and changes in direction of planets. It starts with Pluto stationing retrograde on the 1st of the month. That's a really interesting way to start the month. Of course, May 1st is May Day. It's a pagan holiday. It's a fertility festival. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. And we have it in Aquarius, which is humanity. So we have a choice to make. Are we going to survive as humans, or are we going to die as humans? Which sounds kind of like, but you're a Scorpio. Life and death, these things. Uh, you're like, yeah, I know. Uh, and we also have, and of course, Pluto is your ruling planet, Scorpio, as is Mars, and Mars moves into a new sign this month. It moves into Leo, and as soon as it does, it moves to Leo on the 20th. Is it the 20th? No, I don't. Yeah, on the 20th. And it comes, as soon as it moves into Leo, it makes an opposition to your other ruler, Pluto. So we have a Mars-Pluto opposition, which are the two rulers of your chart, which is connected to the Mars-Pluto synodic cycle. And that began when those two planets were conjunct. And I believe that cycle began in I think it was August of 2022. I think it was August of 2022. So we're looking at things that started back then and now are coming to fruition. So there's something coming to fruition in all our lives, but especially because these are your two ruling planets. It's pretty important to look at that synodic cycle. We have Mercury changing direction. It starts the month retrograde and goes direct on the 14th. Mars makes a trine to Neptune on the 15th. And on the 16th, Jupiter moves into Taurus, squaring Pluto. And then once Mars moves into Leo on the 20th, that week, that middle week of middle week of May is important time of coming to a crossroads. Pluto, your ruling planet, is square the nodes. Your sign rules the south node. The south node is in Scorpio. So there are still some things that we need to look at from the past, how we've done things in the past, and do we want to continue doing them in that way? What else do I want to say? Oh, there's just so much to say. If you really want to know what's going on with the month and the astrology and all that, you can check out my Astrology and Kabbalah of May, which will come out shortly after this comes out, if you want some real specific stuff about what's going on. But it's definitely an intense month, and you're an intense sign. So you're like, yeah, just another intense month for Scorpio. All right, so is there anything else I want to say? Oh, I could say so much. But as I said, check out the Astrology and Kabbalah of May. That'll probably be the best information you can get. Now, I have been pulling a oracle card to start each reading, and we're going to pull a Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle. Last month we looked at the Starseed Oracle, so we looked to the stars for the seeds. And this month we look for the seeds in our own garden, Let's see what is coming up for Scorpio. What is the plant for Scorpio in the month of May? Okay. Milk thistle, forgiveness. Milk thistle. I believe we already got this for one of the other ones. I can't remember which one though. So if it's yours, if you happen to check your sun, your rising, and your moon, and you have milk thistle in another one, it's especially important. It says, okay, let me do it this way. I'll hold it up. It's a beautiful card. These cards are actually quite beautiful. And forgiveness, not the easiest thing for a Scorpio, is it? But obviously necessary. All right, let's see what it says here. Life has taught you to protect yourself, but sometimes you end up hurting yourself. Milk thistle helps you to let go through the power of forgiveness of all of the self-imposed restriction and defensive armor that are making it hard for you to open and receive all the love and abundance the universe has flowing toward you. Milk thistle is asking us to examine how we channel and process our strong feelings, not just towards others, but towards ourselves, so we don't create, store, and perpetuate lasting pain. So often when we think of forgiveness, we think of forgiving others, those difficult people in our lives, those relationships and experiences that have hurt us and have found a way to lodge into our deepest, most vulnerable places. It is a heavy, painful, dark, and lonely burden. This energy needs to be released, but it often erupts unintentionally in the form of anger and blame, laced with personal pain. Torn up and bleeding, it lodges deep inside of us in the form of shame and guilt, and could haves and should haves sink in. Milk thistle is asking us to forgive ourselves too. She is asking us to handle ourselves and others gently and with great love and care. Forgiveness is the ultimate form of letting go. And that's what Scorpio is all about. Letting go, guys. Letting go. Forgiveness is not easy. And if you're the type of Scorpio that harbors resentment, it can be a very toxic brew to everybody around you, but especially to yourself. Because if you can't forgive others, it simply means you haven't been able to forgive yourself. So, forgiveness, Scorpio. Okay, let's take a look at deck here. I'm going to use the Druid Craft Tarot and see what this tarot deck has to say. What are the messages for Scorpio? Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. What are the messages? Mythologies. Their mythologies. All right. Almost done, almost ready. It has to feel right. That's when I decide. Feels about right. We start with the Eight of Cups. This is about leaving behind emotional states that no longer serve, situations that no longer serve. This is about walking away from maybe something you've put a lot of energy into, but doesn't really make you feel any better about your life. One thing I want to say about this card, that sometimes you can feel like, oh, have I wasted all this time? And really you don't. You never waste any time. There is an eclipse up here. And remember, we have an eclipse this month with the moon in Scorpio. So your eclipse, the moon at the north node, at the south node of its own moon, requires us to let go of the past. Let go of the past. What challenges that? The Ten of Pentacles. For some, whatever you've been doing has been quite either prosperous, so you don't necessarily want to do it, or it can be an expectation that your family has for you. The Ten of Pentacles. Look how hard I've worked for you, and this is the thanks I get, that kind of stuff. which I know all too well. I've experienced that. At the bottom of the deck, at the bottom of the reading, we have the Six of Cups. So this is about childhood and healing, and the necessity for healing the inner child, for perhaps looking at our past with different eyes, with eyes of appreciation, perhaps. In the past, we have the Nine of Wands, the vigilant soldier. That is you. Who's willing to fight for what they believe? That is you. This is boundaries, 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 boundaries. Sharp boundaries at that. And we have the Ten of Swords in the sky. This is not, there was another reading that had the Ten of Swords in the sky as well. This symbolizes the end, the utter end of something. Something is ending here. There is an end. So you're at a point where you're leaving stuff behind. You're leaving stuff behind this month. Immediate future. So there's a balancing of the scales. So any losses are losses that are karmic in nature, I would say, and that you need to just let it go. Let it go, because it means that the things are settled. Cosmic justice has spoken, and that's the end of that. There's no point in being resentful. There's no point in being shattered. It's just, that's it. Done. You're done. You're off the hook. That's any consolation. How things are seen from the outside. They see you as somebody who's got good strategic ideas, sees things coming. This is psychic. I see what's gonna happen. And so you're seen as somebody who's a good strategist, your domestic situation. Yeah, a whole new beginning, Scorpio, a whole new beginning. The end and the end is near, and the beginning is here. Hopes and fears, that you'll be taken care of, that you can be self-reliant. You like being self-reliant, you don't like depending on other people. And so that's your hope, that you can continue to be self-reliant. And at the outcome, we have the moon. So there's a lot of emotional stuff. I said, let it go, but it's not going to be that easy. A lot of emotional ups and downs. One of the things you have to understand with this energy is that you can't save anybody who's not willing to save themselves. And ultimately, you have to save yourself. So make sure you take make sure you take those steps to protect and save yourself. Underneath it, we have the Queen of Pentacles. You are somebody who understands the value of things. We have the Prince of Cups. This is good news on its way. And we have the Seven of Pentacles, which says you have to maybe prune some things in your garden, because people may be I don't want to say stealing your energy, but stealing your energy. So you need to prune your garden, prune your life of people who don't have, and situations that don't have your best interest at heart. That's what I see. Wow. Wow. Forgiveness. Ten of Swords. The Moon. These are, and the Fool. Interesting cards. It's always an intense time when the sun is in Taurus for you, Scorpio, because it's lightening up some of your darker areas, as it were. It's the opposite sign, so the sun is in the opposite, and so the sun shines over you, and sometimes we can see those little nooks and crannies that you like to hide in. But things are being exposed, and it's time to let go, and it's time to forgive, and it's time to move on. So have yourself a wonderful month of moving on, letting go, and the like. Take care of yourself. Forgive yourself, forgive others, release yourself from the burdens of resentment. And I will see you again next month for the Tarot-Scopes for the sign of Scorpio for the month of June. Until then, have a wonderful month. If you would like to have a reading with me, on this very potent month for yourself, there's a link below. You go on my website. I have two options. I have an hour reading and an hour and a half reading. If it's your first time, the hour and a half is preferred, but not necessary. I realize that it's a financial investment, although I do try to keep my prices relatively that is reasonable. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can go to Patreon. There's a link below, or you can just give me a thumbs up and share this video so that I can get up on the algorithm, whatever that might mean. All right, guys, take care. Much love. Namaste.